Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and กราบสวัสดี speaker ทุกท่านด้วยนะคะ Welcome to the session just before lunch. We'll try to keep it short and not to keep you hungry for too long. My name is Nasha Ananchotikul, and I'm from Kiatnakin Phatra Securities, and I'll be your moderator for this session. So this morning, I hope you have found the discussions in this morning insightful as I have. And today, this session will build on today's discussions, insights, and we're going to talk about how we can embrace changes and take the opportunity to drive Thailand forward with investment opportunities in new industries that emerging and how we can take advantage of that. And apologies for our key speakers who could not join us today because of the important and urgent matter that they have to attend. But we are fortunate to have with us senior executives and business leaders who are at the forefront of all the exciting developments today. So I'm sure that you all are keen to hear from their perspectives today that we're going to have 45 minutes of discussion. So without further ado, let me start our discussion with just one first question for everyone, all the panelists. If in just one sentence, what do you believe is the most compelling reason why investors should consider investing in Thailand right at this moment? You would like to.
I believe that Thailand offers all the essential components that investor needs, like conducive ecosystem, comprehensive infrastructure, strategic access to key markets, ease of doing business, and robust measures to support investment in Thailand.
Thank you, Khun Smith.
Okay, why Thailand? I think earlier this morning I was listening to the governor. I think he touched upon the credit quality issue, which I'm sure worries some of you. But when I think about this question, I think Thailand situates at the fine balance between the two superpowers. And we have history of playing the card right. And we maintain independence and survive and very resilient throughout global conflict. So we believe that we're in the right environment and Thailand is a place for you to be.
Okay. Very good. And please.
Okay. The hardest question on your list is one sentence, right? Okay, Thailand is strategic location with a good infrastructure, a stable regulations, a comprehensive supply chain, and as he said, the well positioned in the current geopolitical landscape.
Wow, that's a lot in one sentence, that, how Thailand can have a lot of things to offer to attract investments into the economy at this moment. So let me start with the policy, the big picture of the economy. Of course, policy is at the center of how we can, provide incentives or make the country attractive for foreign investment at this moment when there's a lot of changes going on in the global landscape. So let me start with Khun Sudhasinee. In light of a lot of the global geopolitics shifts and relocation of the investment, what do you think the policy, the BOI, how is the BOI adapting its policy to try to make Thailand attractive amid all the changes that's going on?
I think Thailand remains the conflict-free zone, and like Mr. Smith also mentioned, that we has been long recognized as the desirable investment destination for investment. We implement the supportive policy over the year, even with during the changing of some political situation, we remain supportive to the investor that our investment policy has the clear direction, and we has the main goal to support the investor all along. And of course, we do have a investment promotion strategy. For us, right now we start our the latest one from last year for 5 years. So the main direction is clear that we have a key target industry like EV, E&E, and also the industry that the main Thailand have been strong, like the agricultural sector, but we aim for higher innovation in terms of the biotechnology or the technology-related segment to create more value added to the country. And we provide both tax and non-tax incentive, but more importantly, we support in terms of the facilitation and ease of doing business. We support both FDI and also Thai company, especially the SMEs also. And we adapt to the changing environment like green movement, the sustainability. So I think we have clearly make ourselves have the dynamic evaluation of the situation internally and externally, and talk closely to investor to provide the measure that can support them.
So there are many dimensions that the policy is trying to help the companies who would like to invest in Thailand. Do you think that DBI is doing enough in your view for the BOA and Gulf as one of the main investors, domestic investors in Thailand?
I think BOI has been very supportive to our business. And when you talked about strategy to move forward, I think at Gulf, when we plan, we think of the global trend, right? And we are aware that global trends are moving towards digital, global trends are moving towards clean energy. So although our foundations are in power generation, right? Recently, we moved into renewable, solar, wind, digital infrastructure, data center, cloud business. And we believe that although Thailand started a bit later than our neighbors, but we have large population, we have potential to be the center of digital business going forward.
Any words from the BOA? What do you think what is the BOI is doing? Is that sufficient to draw investment into Thailand? And the BOA, of course, is one of the beneficiary in terms of the industrial estates that benefit quite significantly from the relocations to Thailand.
Looking at the big pictures, as I mentioned, that we are in very strategic location, a good infrastructure. To be more specific, okay, we have a good road access, industrial. We have a port facility that is building the third one in Natthapatt. We have a very good communication system, wide or wireless. We have a very, beyond that physical infrastructure, we have very good banking system. We have the other services, industry, hospital, international school. Those small elements that's important to FDI, to attract the FDI to coming in. As I also mentioned, the extensive supply chain. Take the EV, for example. Looking back 3 years ago, there's always questions whether Thailand would get EV based or not, right? But evidence today we are, right? And those evidence of what BOI, what the government entity, what the private entities helping each other to attract those new S-curve industry. Yeah.
So let me go back to Kun Sudhasinee in terms of, we mentioned a lot of the readiness in terms of the infrastructure that Thailand has to offer, and we have seen the role of BOI very clearly in terms of the drawing EV production into Thailand. If you could share with us, what are the steps that you're going to do more, whether the BOI is going to do more to make sure that the infrastructure in Thailand is ready for the new industries, not just EV, but other industry as well. What are the steps that BOI are planning? What can we expect for next year or years after?
The infrastructure for EV, we include charging station, we include, I think next step is that we would like to introduce green energy. And Thailand, Thai government is considering about the direct PPP, and access to the third-party access of the electricity network. And I think this will support more investment in Thailand and make it the investment more green and sustainable. And for the EV, we also would like to, all EV and other industry also, we try to deepen the supply chain within Thailand. The only just assembling the finished goods is not enough. For EV, we would like to make the automaker to co-develop and maybe provide training, provide technical support to the Thai, especially Thai supplier, for them to participate in the supply chain further. And also in terms of the electrical E&E industry, we already start attracting investment in the upstream segment, like design, also the some of the semiconductor manufacturing in Thailand. We will get the actual investment very soon because we already conclude the application approval already for some of the key investment in that segment. So with the deepen supply chain within Thailand in this key industry, we will have more competitiveness in overall.
Can I ask one question? Can we expect the EV package 4.0 anytime soon?
We only start the 3.5 and we are in the process of the investment, and the EV 3.5 participant will start production more and more from this year, and for the participant in EV 3.5 will start maybe in these 2 years. So we hope that we materialize and we get the evaluation of the measures before we move on to the next stage.
All right, very well. Thank you. So let me shift gear to the business side of the investment. Let me start with Khun Samit in Gulf Energy. And Gulf Energies, we know that has involved in utilities and logistics and many others business venues. What role do you see the companies playing in enhancing Thailand's infrastructure, to support the new industries and the investment relocations that we might benefit from, the geopolitics and whatnot?
Yeah, I think at Gulf, when we strategize, I think we think how we could help Thai economy and make infrastructure that are good for the investor to come. Right? Let's take digital business, for example. We've seen the top digital companies that come to Thailand, right? And one of their requests is for clean energy. How could they secure clean energy? Because in the new world of data center and AI, it required immense amount of power or electricity, right? While, again, if you look at the cost of making green energy, 7-8 years ago, 1 megawatt of solar panel used to cost, the investment cost used to be over 100 million. Nowadays, it's already below 20 million, right? We believe that with our scale and efficiencies, we could provide cheap and clean energy to Thai companies, right? And that's one element. I think the other element has to do with digital itself, right? When I was working for a multinational company 15 years ago, right, in Korea, in Singapore, there was a data sovereignty law which required national security data to be safe kept in the country, right? But Thailand also have national security law in relation to data, right? But I believe that the definition of national security data is different, right? In case of Korea and Singapore, security data include not only military data, but also all government-related data, all financial service all financial service data that the population, the companies are using, right? They consider that national security, and therefore those data must be kept in the country, right? When you apply that to Thailand, I believe that with the right direction from the government, we listened to the former Prime Minister's speech last week. I think he gave a very clear direction that he want to drive digital economy going forward, right? We believe that with the change in regulation, we are in a good position to support growth in digital economy going forward.
Thank you. So with the growth of the data centers, the cloud computing, and maybe AI and whatnot, do you think that Gulf Energy would have a role to play in offering, infrastructure for all the businesses and investors to benefit from being in Thailand? So let me shift to WHA. So WHA, we all know that the company has been instrumental in attracting new investments into Thailand, especially after in the post-COVID world, where with the rise of the geopolitical order, relocations of the companies outside of China and whatnot. So can you share with us the trends, that you've seen in terms of relocation? What kind of sectors, what kind of companies, and going forward, do you see that there will be more to come, and how can we benefit from this global trend?
Okay. From the WHA perspective, the flow, the demand that we see is still coming. From that perspective, let me divide into the existing sectors and the new sectors that we see. The existing sector, we still continue to see automotive, electronics, electrical appliance, consumer products. Still huge demand still flowing into Thailand in terms of FDI. The new sectors, we have seen EV during the last 2-3 years. Today we see the supply chain of EV still coming in. We see the past 2 years, data center, some already comes, some big name already come, and more in the pipeline that is to materialize soon, right? Yes, but overall we continue to see record high demand that's coming in. If you ask me 12 months ago, I probably say, my boss always say that we believe that 2-3 years of this cycle. But if we ask us today, we say that we see at least 3 to 5 years of this cycle, yes.
This
At
cycle,
the
you mean
moment.
with the wave of relocation this time around?
Yes.
And what nations and nationalities?
The nationality, during the last 4 to 5 years, Chinese investors continue to be a big portion, but we also see I would say, coming back of the other group also. Japanese investors, European, US investors is coming back into the FDI arena also, not only Chinese, but overall Chinese continue to be a very big chunk during the last few years. In the WHA portfolio, Japanese investors continue to be the biggest, right? Chinese is a second. 5 years ago, Chinese is single digit. Today, around 20%.
But do we see amid the rise in the Chinese manufacturing in car production and whatnot, and we all know that Thailand has been a long-standing production hub of car for the Japanese brands mostly. Do we see the relocation outside of Thailand by the Japanese companies?
For me? Okay. Yes, there are news of some Japanese car manufacturer closing. But if you're looking at details of the news, the plants that close, they also explicitly say that the production volume is quite low in Thailand, and they centralize that production in Japanese. Many years back, we also have case of GM that closed and then selling plants to Great Wall Motor. That's 2019, if I remember correctly. I think it's similar. With or without the Chinese EV, this may already happens. And comparing to the actual utilization of the closing plant and the newcomer all each at least two brands that are with WHA, they're saying 150 to 250,000 units. The closing plants, they're talking 10,000 units. So overall production should have a positive impact. But the figures we see today that has a lower production, it might be possible, it might be the case that today it's still import, right? While they are building a new plant.
I see. So in net, you think it's net positive for Thailand terms of the...
I believe so, yes.
That's very good to hear. If I could go back to Gulf Energy, and we have seen, the recent trends, and it's been a continuing trend that Gulf has diversified into various venues of the businesses, now into digitalization economy, and maybe into the virtual banking. Could you share with us the vision of the company? Why do you think diversify into digital infrastructure is important, and what are the plans the Gulf Energy is planning for, and how does it align with the economic goals of the country?
Thank you very much. Again, please allow me to expand on my earlier comments. When it comes to digital economy, right, do we know that how much Thailand spend on digital per month? Can anyone take a guess? Right. Hey, we as a country import digital service as much as $3 billion a month. That's close to 1 trillion baht a year, right? So foreign currency outflow, right? We pay for digital platform for SME to sell their products. We consume digital media, whether it's TV program or music, right? The country is losing a lot of reserve, right? And ultimately, it will impact the currency and volatility. Similarly, in energy world, we consume or we import more than 10% of our total imports we paid out in energy, right? With the introduction of renewable energy, it would substitute the fuel import, whether it's LNG or oil, because again, we can use solar and wind to produce our own electricity and kept them in batteries. So that's why the investment in energy infrastructure and digital infrastructure are critical for the country going forward. Because as we hear from WHA, right, some of our manufacturing sectors are losing their competitiveness. Of course, there are new ones that coming in, right? But they come in manners where all the profits and returns go back to the shareholder, right? Or other foreign shareholders. I think the country needs some degree of protectionism, right? To ensure that we allow our SME and our small businesses to grow and be able to compete with the foreign imports, right?
Now that you mentioned the word protectionism, well, I know that we have not discussed this before, but I think everyone is interested of how Thailand should position itself, now that we have been losing competitiveness in especially in the manufacturing sector, and a lot of us have, thought about should we become more protective for our industry inside the economy. Can you share your view? What do you think the policy should do, and what extent we should do to protect the domestic economy, may it be the policy or from the business side, especially for the SMEs? If you could share the view with us on that.
I think the word protectionism is somewhat no one want to talk about it, right? But in reality, if you observe, right, in the today global trade war, you have seen the U.S. impose huge amount of import tax on Chinese goods, right? We have seen Europe impose import tax on EV from China, right? While I think Thai people, they have good fundamental economy, but we are now, our SME are being hurt from flooded of cheap import goods from China, right? And the country need these SME, right? They are, our population, our consumption would derive from the profit and the livelihood of these SME, right? If they go bankrupt and cannot survive, ultimately will suffer. So I think the protectionism not only apply to tax, right, but it also apply to quality, right, certification, being environmentally green, right? If you import goods, perhaps you should check their carbon footprint, right? Whether these goods imported are in fact in compliance with standard, right? And we've seen this done in many countries around the globe, right? Why can't we just follow their examples, right? Why do we have to play the good guys and zero import tax and it hurt our SMB?
Anything you would like to share? And I would actually like to talk, to hear the view from the policymaker. How do you balance between, drawing in new investment from foreign and, protecting the industry inside? And,
Okay.
But before that, you have
just
anything to add?
Very small comments on the protectionism, as Khun Smith said. I think the key is the level of what to be done, right? And the fairness and level playing field is the key concept. Okay, overdo is not good for sure, but there's always balance in doing that to create a fair level playing field. Yeah.
So fairness is important. Any thought, Khun Sudhasinee?
For the policy level issue, BOI always work as a part of the team. Like the government agency, we join force, and because every agency, they hold their law and regulation, so they need to enforce whatever they can within their job description or their mandate. But we still also open to change the law or the rules, and maybe we can. Is it actually in about this the new online platform low substandard goods import goods issue? Actually, we are considering both enforcing the current law and change some law so that of course, it needs to be balanced, not overprotection, but still make sure that it's effective and also up to the global kind of regulation. We need to comply to the international law and regulation. This is the normal rule that we need to go, but of course, as we have been a very good guy all the ways, but we have to find a way. And I would like to emphasize that the government agency, we are working very hard to try to cope with this changing situation, and to make sure that we have a fair environment for the playing field for everybody.
I'm sure it's a very delicate balance between, drawing in foreign new money and also protecting the industry inside. Now that you're talking about, complying with the global standards and rules, I guess a lot of investors, whether they're existing investors in Thailand or the ones who are eyeing on Thailand right now, might be wondering about the global minimum tax rule that will apply in Thailand starting next year. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How is the BOI is planning steps to maybe help the investors, maybe lessen the impact of this new rule that will apply?
The key agency on this issue that they negotiate is the Revenue Department, and Revenue Department and BOI work closely to make sure that we can minimize the effect, or we need to comply, and we also comply to these new rules, global rules. I specifically talk on the Pillar 2 because that's the one that's the effect to the investor. According to the Revenue Department, we heard that about 1,200 companies may be subject to these new rules, and because these the rules need to be applied on a yearly basis, so the number may be different because it's according to the total revenue of the consolidated the revenue of the company. And as for the BOI, we has already announced the supporting measure like to minimize the effect on the tax exemption. We issue the measure that the investor that under the condition on this Pillar 2, they may request the deduction of the corporate income tax instead of exemption, so that they pay less pay some amount, so that overall they has the longer period of time that when calculate the tax is they have lesser gap under the 15%. But in the next phase, the Revenue Department is under the process to pass a new law to collect the top-up tax up to 15%. This law Thailand has to implement, because if we don't have this law in place, the company would pay at home instead of Thailand. That is not beneficial to Thailand at all. So this one, the Revenue Department, they need to go for.
They will have to pay 15%.
Yes. And for the BOI, we have the mechanism to support the investor, not in terms of the exemption of the tax, but with the subsidy. But the subsidy is not related to the Pillar 2 directly, because that's against the rule. It's not a reimbursement of what you paid to the Revenue Department, but is another measure that support the company under the Pillar 2 issue if they invest on the R&D, technology, sustainability, automation, and what's all the source of the qualified expense. And we may the board on the competitiveness fund may provide subsidy to them.
Again, since I started the discussion on protectionism, so please allow me to clarify. Again, we're part of the global community. We're a member of WTO. We cannot just unilaterally raise crazy or introduce crazy tax. We do have many good regulation in place, right? Quality standard, carbon emissions, local content, right? But the enforcement of these regulations are critical, right? I think we need government sector, government official to strictly observe what are already in place, right? We are aware that many of the Chinese manufacturers that come in, right? They come in with the whole supply chain, right? Although there are regulations that prescribe that you must have X percentage of a local content in your manufacturing, right? But they disguise through nominees and many others. I think the prudency and the level of thoroughness that we need to check the real ownership are critical, right? And we hope that we'll get that support from the government.
So the policy needs to be fair. And let me recap what Khun Sudhasinee said in terms of the measures to lessen the impact from the global minimum tax. That means that companies starting next year will need to pay 15% tax rate, which is maybe higher than what they were under the privilege of the BOI before. But then the amount that they have to pay more will be repaid to them in terms of subsidies. Is that under the right understanding?
We cannot say the direct relationship of the repaid or reimbursement, but is that's kind of the mechanism, and it depends on the if the revenue department can pass the law, because I think that this one maybe is subject to be passed through the parliament.
I see. And this is comparable to other countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, because everyone have to be compliant under the global minimum tax. So the measures that we are introducing, are they comparable to what other countries are doing?
In terms of the top-up tax, many countries has already imposed, but some still under the process. And for the kind of the subsidy whatsoever, each country, each other country, they do not clearly announce exactly the mechanism. So it's quite a little bit difficult to say is comparable or not. It's kind of negotiation based on each project in every country.
Okay, I see. But at least investors can be at least that the BI is trying to come up with measures to help lower the impact. Anything that you would like to share?
On GMT, let me elaborate more. As a private sector, she may not be comfortable as a regulators. Okay. And from the standpoint that the WHA, we have industrial estate business in Thailand and Vietnam, right? Vietnam is 1 year ahead of us in terms of global minimum tax. Thailand is doing at the moment. But what our view is that GMT, global minimum tax, is actually the measures that at the end of the day will be level playing field of any countries that trying to be the FDI destination.
Right.
In the past, we remember that when one country is trying to grab a market share of FDI, they use a tax incentive.
Right.
But in the future, if you want to be the FDI destination, not going into GMT, not that easy. Right? So this is the, in a way, there would be a boundary, what can be done, what cannot be done to compensate that loss of tax incentive. The ingredient, the secret sauce of each country, I think we will see in next few years what would be done in each country. But every country, I believe, they will do something to compensate that. But at the end of the day, it will level playing field.
Sure.
And on the contrary, my personal opinion, it means that a next country that trying to grab market share of Thailand and Vietnam for FDI would be harder because they cannot use tax measures.
And that makes it more important for us to ramp up or to strengthen other competitive edges to compete, not to use the tax incentive, right? Like having readiness of infrastructure, for example, or human capital, for example. Let me go back to the BOHA. Earlier that you mentioned that, this cycle, the Thailand, as well as maybe other countries in the Southeast Asia, may benefit from this round of relocation that might last for 3 to 5 years. What is the plan? What's your plan for, making the cycle last longer, or to remain competitive, to gain, competitiveness amid, changing dynamics going forward, so that you can make sure that it's long-lasting impact that we will get from.
Let me put it this way. Pre-COVID, the benchmark that market observed, the WHA for land sale industrial estate in Thailand is around 1,000, right? Last year is 2,000, close to 2,000. Year before is 1,800. By saying the up cycle, this cycle, 5 years, it's around this level that we will see. Much close to double of what we did before COVID. And after that, it doesn't mean that going to zero. It's probably going to 1,000, 1,200 level, those kind of things. But coming to your questions, what can extend that? Let me put it this way. We have experienced a new segment. We have experienced EV. We have experienced data center. We're trying to grab more semiconductors. So I think it's always a moving target that what next to grab, what next trying to coming to Thailand. From what we get today, especially the digital side, we hope to see that the technology deployment in many sectors, AI, GSG reduction, green mobility, those kind of things that if we can deploy in the large scale in Thailand, that could substantially change pictures.
And for one thing that we've been talking quite a lot recently in Thailand is the initiative with the casino entertainment complex. Do you think that that would be, like, as you're the business leaders, do you think that would be the next big win for Thailand if we, going into this venture?
I think so. Again, if you refer to the governor's speech, I think he emphasized that over 10% of our GDP are derived from tourism industry, right? And if you refer to, again, the former Prime Minister's speech last week, he mentioned about the underground economy, which could be as large as 50% of the GDP, right? We agree with the government policy that of entertainment complex could bring some of these underground economies as well as further extend the tourism industry that we are already very, very strong. Right? In fact, the Ministry of Finance did run a survey asking the depositor and saver what product would they like to see more, right? And you know what's the number one answer? Right? They like the lottery saving or salak omsin, right? So I think it's in the nature, right? We've seen a lot of Thai go across the border to our neighboring countries to casino, right? So it's, I think we cannot hide the fact that it's in their nature, right? So why might as well just turn it into a business that pay tax, attract investment, attract tourism, right? Legalize it and make sure that we bring them up so it can be monitored, can be regulated. I think the key point is that how we manage and regulate them, right? I think it's good for the country. It could be another S-curve on top of the tourism industry that we're already very strong with. Yeah.
In terms of business interests, you think there are a lot of business interests into this new
I think there's
initiative?
Little synergy with Gulf, where we focus on energy and digital. So we have to think really hard whether this is the right thing for us.
And Kun, from the WHA, where do you think the entertainment complex should be? For the first few ones.
It's actually not in your script.
It's not in the script. So this is totally off the script.
I have no idea. But just to say that from what Kun Samit said, we have my personal opinion, I have no objection, no different views at all. I think it's, why not?
All right, very well. I guess we're actually coming we are running out of time, and it's been insightful and very interesting, the points of view that you share with us today. But I do have one final question for each of you. If there is one single change or development that would most enhance Thailand's attractiveness to bring in as an investment destination, what do you think that one single change should be? Should we start from Kun Sudhasinee?
I think the key issue that's very important for us is the human resources, and we have been trying to develop so that we have the enough and highly skilled supplies to the industry, and I think that we need to train more in the term of the different kind of skill in terms of AI or digital. And actually, I would like to mention a little bit on the services sector that maybe is a new area that we didn't touch a lot, but the international business center or the regional headquarter and also the financial hub will be another segment that the government and BOI is trying to help moving forward. And I think our guest here would be happy to see Thailand as the financial hub that the Ministry of Finance is trying to, maybe we have, would like to we are drafting a new legislation to help it and also try to create the ecosystem to support this sector also in this near future.
So financial, high value added financial services, you think that it would be one of their key growth drivers for the Thai economy going forward?
I think so.
And human capital that you emphasize that should be. And Kun Samit?
As for private sector, if there's one thing we'd like to ask, I think we want stability in government policies and direction. And more importantly, not just the stability in policies. I think we would appreciate a correct public perception, right? I think the public talked a lot about equality, right? I think equality in Thai society means equal opportunities, but it doesn't mean that you need to drag the large capital group or large industrial group down, right? We need national champions who are efficient, who are able to compete in the international arenas, right? At the same time, these companies are paying tax, which again go around and to support the little guys who need support, right? So I think not only the continuity in government policies, but the correct perception of the public are the two critical components that we like to see.
So policy stability as well as the equality of opportunities that do you think is important for helping economy going forward? Kun Natthapatt ka.
Okay, before answering your questions, I think to reflect the success we have today for EV, for data center, etc., and continued flow of the other FDI. I think it's coming from the cooperation of a good work of the government entity, BOI, EEC, all the involved ministers. It's coming from all that. So what we would like to see, what we would hope for is the continue of that good work. What we like to see, what we're hoping for is a stronger, continuous, strong signal from the government that we are very welcome the FDI.
Strong signal from the policy makings. Okay, very well. And I hope that, and I believe that today's discussion has shown that Thailand is not just adapting to the global new environment, but also, actively shaping the future for our economy too. So I would like to extend our special thanks to our esteemed speakers today. And please join me to give a big round of applause to our esteemed speakers.